This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Tuesday, joined now by veteran sports writer Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and that's a fitting song for today. Might as well jump, right? I mean,
yeah.
We're going to find out if that's
jump into the river.
Well, the Big Ten's got to either jump or wait. You know, that's kind of where we're at this point.
Yeah, I was just talking. The Big Ten has done such a good job of decision making and being on the forefront through all of this. They have just done a great job with it, and they fumbled the ball in this one. I'm surprised, but they just I think that they bowed down to some pressure real quick and they fumbled the ball, and I think that we're going to see an about face, and I think we'll end up seeing Big Ten football, which is a little surprising after how it happened, but just a weird day, just a weird couple of days.
Yeah, I'm not so sure still that we will see Big Ten football. I think we might still see practice for a bit. I think we still might see that potentially be shuffling. My sources continue to say that we will find out today that everything will be canceled, but when you're hearing reports out there that there's a potential for trying to push back the season, delay the start, whether that means into October, whether that means into the spring, that remains to be seen as well. It's such a fluid, fast-moving situation. But as of last night, the sources that I talked to still said that the Big Ten plans to cancel it.
Now, and is it cancel or delay? That's because I think there's a big distinction there that people are confusing as well.
Yeah, with the understanding of trying to play in the spring is what I've been told.
And yesterday we had a Zoom call with Tom Allen, Indiana's football coach, and that question came up about moving to the spring, and he didn't seem too anxious about that, about looking forward to playing in the springtime, talking about the multiple challenges with it and then followed by the following season. But I'm sure that, gosh, he would take that as opposed to not having a season at all.
Well, yes and no. I think it's not an optimal situation for coaches. There's no question about that. Scott Frost talked about that yesterday. In terms of the physical aspect of it, Urban Meyer talked about it last month, how it's not feasible whatsoever to continue to consider even thinking these guys can play a spring season, then come back and play a fall season with the physical aspect of it. And that's on top of all the COVID issues that, you know, where will we be at come spring? You know, I said anything that we say at this point, I've been pretty specific about this since, you know, for the last couple months, is anything we say right now isn't will happen, it's plans to happen, because this is something that athletics, in terms of athletic directors, in terms of coaches, they love the control. I mean, everything is within their control. They try to create environments that they can control. This is when you have a virus that you don't understand a lot about, that you don't understand how it's being transmitted, what the long-term damages are. That's out of their control. And, you know, the question to me is it going to be an academia decision? Is it going to be an athletics decision? And that's to me where I think the disconnect right now is.
And it's this craziness that they're going through for these coaches. We also saw yesterday Jim Harbaugh kind of lead the parade, which, of course, he tends to do that. But more importantly, you had a Nebraska, Scott Frost, talk about whether the Big Ten plays or not. They're planning on playing football this fall, which I don't know how in the world they could come up with a schedule that quickly, but maybe they could manage that. But we all know Nebraska, very proud of their they've had sellouts since the 60s, I think, but they're serious about their football, and they're planning on having it this year no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be an interesting situation for the Big Ten. I mean, that's open defiance, and you're talking about a member that's only been in the league since 2011. One of the three newest members was Rutgers, Maryland. That's interesting. Obviously, Nebraska football is such a major force and factor. But to me, there are a lot of empty and idle threats out there with that from Scott Frost's mouth, and really from a lot of people out there. I mean, that's a significant chunk of money that Nebraska is bringing in now from the Big Ten network. Are they really going to try and abandon that? I mean, are they going to take penalties from the Big Ten if the rest of the conference decides not to play? I don't know. I really don't know when it comes to those sort of things on that side. But what we see here in this situation, I mean, when I mentioned about control, athletic directors in the Big Ten Conference and Commissioner Kevin Warren, previously Jim Delaney, they're the ones that make all these decisions about athletics. University presidents tend to defer, and the only time you ever see them get involved in matters within the conference in terms of decision making is whether or not to expand. That's really the only time you see this. So this makes it a little bit difficult to kind of project and predict what's going to happen when the university presidents, a number of whom really haven't had to make a significant decision. There's been turnover at Ohio State, at Michigan State in terms of the president's seats. So those decision makers, they're ultimately the ones that are going to be the ones making this call publicly, whether behind the scenes there's political pressure, whether it's pressure from the athletics, pressure from boosters, whatever that'll be. It's a curious situation to watch.
No doubts. And then you look at further down the road, national championship, the playoffs, the bowl games. Or will we even be able to have that? I guess they could have a muted form of that because the ACC has said they're going the ACC, the ACC, or the AAC, the SEC. All those conferences are going forward right now. It's going to be a lot of bowl games that looks to be filled yet. Not all of those minor ones, of course, but the major bowl games, I would think that they will try to continue to do that if they're able to.
Well, and that's an interesting situation there. I mean, you saw them suspend and cancel the NCAA tournament for mitigating the risk of transmission. Not much changes when you have a bowl game situation. I mean, you're going to really put your team out in a foreign environment for a week or more. Are they going to be able to be fans in the stands at those games, depending on laws and regulations of those states? There's a lot of unknowns and things that have yet to be determined that will shape that beyond just simply saying we're going to play football this fall as a conference.
Yeah, it's going to be
well, Jim. Adding on to that, when you look at the situation, let's say that the Big Ten kind of backs down right now, and the other, the Power Five say that they're going to play, and they get because there are so many unknowns, like Chris is talking about. But let's say you get halfway through the season, and they determine, okay, we are going to have that second wave that's going to hit. We're not going to be able to have bowl games, so we're going to continue out and play our 10 or 11 game regular season, but we're not going to have a national championship. Then do players like, the top-rated players that are going to be drafted this next season, then do those guys who are right now so adamant about talking about we want to play and forming a players union and all these other things, then do they back down and say, okay, well, if we're not going to have a national championship, then we're going to now sit the rest of the season out?
Yeah, a lot of moving parts on a lot of different levels right now. And, the thing that really needs to start is, like we said, and I said at the beginning, you either jump or you don't, or you stay right now. That's kind of really where we're at.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Chris, moving forward now, you expect that decision to come out today? I know that they were meeting yesterday, they meeting the night before that, and then, of course, there's supposed to be something today that we're expected to hear. Do you still think that they're going to at very best postpone the Big Ten football season?
That's what our sources have said, but I mean, we're seeing other things around the country, so I guess stay tuned.
We'll have to do it. Chris, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out to join us, man. You're one of the best. I always appreciate that you coming on with us, and keep up the battle. I hope we actually get to see you this year at a game, as Indiana would travel to Michigan State if that were to happen. But let's keep hoping.
Yeah, I agree. We all want football, but we all want it to be safe too. So take care, guys.
This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.